Good bank holiday Monday morning to you all. And for everybody else, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Methinks we're going to have a very happy show. So let's kick it off by saying hello to one of my podcast brothers, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you, on this beautiful sunny morning in Essex. And young Cooks, based in Essex too. You must have the nice sun. How are you?
I do, yeah. Nice weather today to reflect a beautiful Arsenal win on Saturday.
Wow, yeah. There is so much to talk about. We are going to try and cram it all in. But hello to everybody in the chat room. Hello to everybody on audio. And hello to everybody on Twitter, because it seems that everybody watches this via social media platforms all over the place. We welcome your questions. We welcome your comments. And we're just going to get into it because there is so much to talk about. I mean, I don't even know where to start, if I'm honest, boys. I think we have to start with the funniest thing that's happened to us in for so long, the Eza transfer saga. Chris, have you ever laughed so much? I'll just tell you my little story. So I was out Wednesday evening for dinner, and my dad, everybody knows my dad is the lunatic gooner. And he stands up and he went, "Oh, we're signing Eze." So I just thought, oh, he's read an old tweet from like 10 days ago or something. And I took no notice of him and I said, "Dad, yeah, well, probably not. No." It looks like, no, we're signing Eze. And he just sort of carried on and we had dinner. When I got home, my phone blew up with the amount of messages and tweets and stuff saying, "It's been hijacked. It's a love story. He's coming, Christopher." What a 48 hours that was when he calls Arteta to say, "Is there any chance?" Supposedly, Arteta calls a board meeting. They say yes, and they go for him, and we sign him in a matter of minutes. Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. James and I obviously talked about it on Wednesday or Thursday last week.
Yep.
So we've done a lot of the bantering with the Spurs fan and having a laugh, talked about what Eze can bring. I guess since James and I did that recording, we've had the official announcement, which we can talk about that, like the feeling of seeing him come out onto the pitch and you can just see the big smile in his face. It really was wonderful to see. And the club did the right thing. They obviously just fed out some, everyone knew it was happening, but they fed out to a few accounts like Redaction and stuff that you might want to take your seats. And in the stadium, there was on the sign on all of the TVs, it was like, make sure you're at your seats by 5:15 for a special announcement. So we all knew it, but it was just lovely to actually see a boyhood Arsenal fan and his whole family are Arsenal fans as well coming out. And then I've just been writing my blog this morning, and one of the things that I open with is yesterday, obviously, it's bank holiday here in the UK, in England, but yesterday, because it was a bank holiday, I had a few more drinks because I knew, well, I don't have to work tomorrow morning. So we went out to the pub at lunchtime, and the missus was a bit like, "Why do you keep looking at your phone?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just watching videos of Eze and Ian Wright and stuff like that." So it's just brilliant.
So you was away, weren't you, James? Honestly, so where I sit is virtually opposite the tunnel. And we knew what was going to happen because there's a account on Twitter called Hand of Arsenal that just seems to know everything. And he said, "Be in your seats by 5:20. I was there much earlier." And we knew what was going to happen. And he's walking out. I videoed it, photographs a lot. The biggest smile on his face, the biggest cheer in the stadium. It's like he's coming home. It was just so beautiful, James, honestly. And I know you boys did a pod this week and obviously may have discussed that. You did discuss that, but then he signs the day later, after, well, Friday, wasn't it? And we just had the most amazing feeling. How do you feel about Eze coming back home?
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. And look, with the injuries that happened yesterday, it's very welcome news that we've got someone like him to call upon for the game against Liverpool. But in all seriousness, in terms of a player that's going to be part of this squad for the next, the long-term future, hopefully 3-4 years at least. I'm buzzing. We're getting a player in his absolute prime. There's a lot of emotional attachment to this as well. I watched the interview he did with Ian Wright last night, and it's just like I feel like it's almost like the sort of podcast we would do, where you've just got a fan talking to another fan of a club. And I really have to say, I love the way Arsenal went about the announcement and the unveiling, because I think we were all so excited about the idea of maybe getting Sol Campbell involved in something like this, and having Manu Petit pick him up and drop him off at Highbury House or something like that. But Arsenal did it really in a real classy way, I think, touching on it. I know people say we wheel out Ian Wright for everything, but there's no one more appropriate for this transfer with the Crystal Palace connection. And I really like that they spoke about Palace as well in a really positive light, and he was really grateful for his time at Palace. I just thought it was done really, really well. The transfer announcement, like the video itself, is beautifully done. Bringing him out of the Emirates, it's just what we needed. We don't really see stuff like that happen at Arsenal. So for him to be brought out, shown to the fans, amazing moment for him, amazing moment for the people in the stadium. And I just cannot wait for that home debut against Nottingham Forest in a few weeks' time. That's going to be scintillating. I absolutely can't wait. So yeah, I mean, it was my dream transfer of the summer. It's happened.
Amanda, can I screw up your running order a little bit? Because can we talk about Eze in terms of, because you've just talked about Forest, in terms of, and the injuries as well, like where he would play, given that we're talking about Eze at the moment?
Of course, yeah, but I just want to say one thing about the Tottenham banter, because, and then you can go into that with pleasure. So Angela said, Amanda, I watched 5 minutes of a Spurs pod with your old mate Tobes. It was post the hijack and it was glorious. Tobes was lording his mind. Tobes was the guy that I was on Radio 5 or TalkSport, wherever it was with, can't remember, last year, who decided to try and put Arsenal down, and I wasn't having none of it. And then he spoke about me on his own podcast. He's got quite a big podcast, and they all said like she cooked you. I don't know. I suppose that means like one or whatever. I was thinking about him, boys, when this came out, thinking he must be losing it, absolutely losing it. The fact that you lose a player like Eze, and the fact that you lose him to Arsenal, it's Emmanuel Petit all over again. It's Ian Wright leaving Crystal Palace to come to us, which is why he was in the video, which obviously is fantastic. And Sol Campbell-esque. I mean, if ever there is a club to do it to, it's to them, isn't it? Chris, go on. You can talk away.
Well, I just think it's going to be an interesting one. I guess it was more of a question for you guys. How do you think we might set up? And I know we can jump back to the game and talk about all of those bits in a minute, which obviously will spend the vast bulk of our time. But I'm just interested, given that we've just signed Eze, does he, James, walk straight into the team? I think he probably does, because you've now got a spot that you've got to fill. But we can fill it with multiple positions, right? We could do Madueke back moves onto the right. And then you've got either Trossard or Martinelli. You could play Eze, let's throw him straight in. Arteta might say, do you know what? Let's bed you in like next weekend at Anfield or whatever it is. What would you kind of do, Cooks?
I think even though let's throw back to last season, if we were losing Saka and Ødegaard going to Anfield away, we'd all be losing our minds, because we potentially have and Havertz. Classic, isn't it? 3 players injured on game week 2, 3 starters on game week 2. Crazy. But I feel actually surprisingly calm about it. Obviously, whoever we bring in, I don't think they're going to be an upgrade on Saka or Ødegaard, but they're going to provide something different. Eze arguably could provide something very different and very exciting if he was to come in for Martin Ødegaard. I'm not entirely ruling him out of this game. I think there is a chance that he makes the team. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. I mean, obviously he went off quite early on in the game, but just looking at Sammy Mockbell's article, there is a chance that he is going to be part of the squad for Anfield. So I wouldn't be surprised if he started. So I think we've got in the well, I was going to say the Eze role, but in the Ødegaard role, we've got Ødegaard potentially, Eze, and Nwaneri, who came on for Ødegaard at the weekend. So 3 potential options. I would lean into Eze personally. I want to throw a lot of trust Nwaneri's way, but I think for Anfield away, especially if we're playing on the transition, Eze is going to be more suited to that type of game. And look, I don't see the point in betting him in, to be totally honest. This isn't the guy that's coming cold. He's had a pre-season with Palace. He's played the Community Shields. He played the first game of the season. Play him. Like, he's fit. He's ready to go. He there's no reason not to start him. But I wouldn't be surprised again if he started on the bench. And on the right hand side, I think it's quite simple. You play Madueke, so I would be happy with that. I think that's fine. I think we've got the defensive stability. So long as we've kind of got that base of Gabriel, Saliba, Yuri and Timber, and whether it's Lewis Skelly or Calafiori, and then Rice and Zubamendi, if any one of those was injured, I'd be a lot more worried. But I think we've got enough options at the other end of the pitch now to cope. As I say, I don't think it's going to be as potent as having Bukayo Saka there. But Madueke was good, I thought, at the weekend. And he looked better on that right-hand side, and it's more natural to him. So something like a Madueke, Gyokeres, Martinelli, front three, I think would be good. And then Eze in behind. That's, just off the top of my head, I'd go with that.
But you know what's interesting, though? You're talking about so many players and so many options, which we've never had. So when Saka went down in front of where I was, you get that devastation, and then he goes off, and you think to yourself, I can't. This is just it. Havertz, Ødegaard, Saka, and then all of a sudden, the options on the bench, I'm not saying are as good as Saka, but they're not far off. And then obviously Eze couldn't play on Saturday, and you're sitting there going, this time last year, this podcast would have been very different. If we'd have beaten them 5-0 and we're going to Anfield next week and we haven't got Saka, we haven't got Havertz, and possibly not Ødegaard, we would have been devastated. But it's very different now. And this is what we've needed. The options, plan A, plan B, and now we've got plan C. And it's lovely to have that choice. Would I play Eze straight away? Absolutely. Why not? He's played in the Premier League. He's match fit. He's done. He knows how to do it. I haven't got an issue with him playing. Who plays where? I don't know. That's down to the manager at the moment. But would you play Ødegaard then, Chris, if he was fit? Or would you have him on the bench and bring him on, or vice versa? Because I think you're right. I think there is a chance he could play, because all the talk now is Saka's out for 4 weeks. No one's talking about Ødegaard. It's obviously not as major. And thank God, everybody, it's only 4 weeks. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, so on the Saka 4 weeks thing, that's still a lot. Like, the season's only 9 weeks long, and that means we've already missed him we'll have missed him, thankfully, because of the international break. It sounds like that'll only be 3 football matches. I think by that time we'll be getting into the Champions League as well, won't we? So there'll be some Champions League. Depending on the game for the League Cup, Saka might not have played that anyway. But for me, that's still a lot. I was really hopeful that, if it's not as bad as first feared, it could be a couple of weeks and you've got the international break and we could have him back. So that's still a bit of a blow, and particularly when you think about Man City on that horizon as well. I know they were terrible against Tottenham, but they're still Man City, and it's still going to give us a tough game. And I think Man City versus Tottenham is one of those weird fixtures anyway. On Ødegaard, personally, I'd put him straight back in, and I think Arteta will if he's fit. But he has to be 100% fit. The whole point in building this squad depth is if he's 90% fit, if he's 75% fit, you just don't play him. You just say, I'm going to sit you down. And I suspect there's kind of a hierarchy of who plays in what positions. I think what you said, James, about Eze potentially playing Ødegaard's position is interesting, because I think Eze normally operates on that left-hand side. So I don't know whether Arteta would try and do a rejig and say, well, look, we'll get the best out of you on that left-hand side. So you move to left 8 and we'll move Rice into right 8 or something like that.
Sorry, Chris, just on that. I think if we were to do that, I don't think we'd play like a 4-3-3 that we line up with on paper. And I think going to Anfield, it might make more sense to play more of a classic 4-2-3-1 where you've got
a double pivot.
Yeah, Rice and Zubamendi sitting, Eze kind of in the Mesut Ozil role, and then Madueke and Martinelli playing as proper, just out and out wingers.
Yeah.
I do think it would come down to who's obviously taking any knocks this week and who's fit. I mean, it's lovely to have this conversation where we're just going, Jesus, who's going to play there? It's just a lovely, lovely conversation to have. Okay, so Eze chat done, Chris, or is there more you want to discuss?
No, all good for me.
We're good on that. Okay, so let's just get into the whole atmosphere. First game of the season, the sun's shining, we've got all these newbies joined us, we're looking at the bench going, wow, and thinking about the fact that now Havertz, Ødegaard, Saka plus Jesus. Jesus is in light training. That's another option. The options are what we've needed for years. Also, playing United and how bad we played and come away with a win is how you win the league. I don't care what anyone says. Remember, I've been watching it since the 70s. Is how you do it. Sometimes it has to be 1-0 to the Arsenal, and you get job done out the job done next. And next was lovely because I don't think I see James and I did a show, Chris. James predicted 3-0, I predicted 2-0. So we were quietly confident. Great day, stadium full, sun shining. Leeds fans were brilliant. They were singing their hearts out all the time. And then, I mean, where do we even start? You got Eze coming on the pitch a few minutes before kick-off. We're singing North London Forever, and you're sitting there and you're feeling confident. What did you make of the first 10 minutes? Let's go to you, Cooks, because I know you watched it in the airport, but first 10, 15 minutes, what did you make of it?
Well, the first half actually I watched in the cab. Second half I watched in the airport, so it was a bit of a mismatch of how I watched this game. But it wasn't. Well, we started quite well, I thought, winning the ball quite high up, looking quite dangerous. But the thing is, when we don't get that early goal, when we're playing like that, you're always at risk of falling into a bit of a lull and the game slowing down a little bit. And that's what I felt happens. But in terms of things like the team lineup and everything like that, I was excited to see Madueke on that left-hand side. Pleased that Gyokeres was getting the nod up top again. I mean, obviously we've got nobody else, so great to see him start. And it was a really exciting team. And I thought, I'm sure we're going to go on to talk about Yuri and Timber, but I know me and you, Chris, had a discussion in the week when we were doing the Eze podcast talking about Timber and why I just think Timber is so good. In terms of a defender, but also what he's offering now in an attacking sense. Got the assist for the Saka goal, got the 2 goals from the corner, and having someone like Timber on the pitch alongside Calafiori, especially when you've got Gabriel and Saliba in the box as well. When we're going up against sides in their penalty area on corners, we have so much more threat, I think, when these guys are on the pitch. So, excited by the way the game started. Felt it slowed down quite quickly, and pleased with the team lineup, Amanda. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well, I was just going to come on to this, but Mr. Blobby said Raya came up with a big save before our set piece goal, and that broke. I've just written that down about Raya. That save down our end, Chris, wasn't it? It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and that led us on. I think raised the crowd a little bit because although the crowd were loud at the beginning, I did comment that I did think the crowd were a little bit flat in the North Bank. I didn't understand why, and I think the Raya save then led on, and we need to talk about this, don't we? I mean, Declan Rice onto Timber's head with perfection, Christopher. What is going on? How does he do it game after game after game? I don't know.
Set piece FC, mate. Set piece FC. Yep. The Raya save was a good one. It was. I'm glad that it was almost straight at him, so he just had to raise his hand up. And to your point, I don't think the first. So if we break the match down into thirds, the first 30, the middle sort of 30 gets up to 60 minutes, and then the final 30. I don't think for that first 30 we were particularly amazing. We were knocking the ball around. I couldn't really work out what sort of approach Leeds were doing because it wasn't a low block, but they weren't really pressing us massively highly. It was kind of just us in control, and the second that you get that goal, that it should open things up. And so I think it was a good time to get the goal. It would have been nicer if it was 10-15 minutes earlier. I mean, it's nicer if we score within the first minute, but do you know what I mean? Like that first 30 minutes, when you get to about 30 minutes in, I always think like this in my head. I'm like, well, that's a third of the game done now, and we haven't unlocked them. And you start to worry that could this be one of those difficult sort of games where it gets frustrating and they get one chance on the counter, because we suffered from that last season. So as soon as we got that first goal, it was good, great header, good positioning, and I mean we're now something like 12 or 13 goals. It's like since the beginning of 2023-24.
Hold on. I've actually got the stat.
You got the stat? Give it to me then.
Gave it to me. Arsenal have scored 33 goals from corners since the
Yeah.
23-24 season. No other Premier League side has more than 20. This season, Arsenal won 5 corners and scored 3 of them. Right. Arsenal also have 10 more corner goals than any other major team in Europe over the same period. And I'm imagining most of them come from Declan Rice, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I mean, you literally go like he's walking with the ball, and I'm going, we could score here. We've watched corners for so many years that we've never thought like that. Well, I haven't ever from a corner. I've never thought like
Can't beat
that.
the
Now
first
I'm
man.
thinking, yeah, yeah, exactly. Who's gonna now? I did not predict Timber to score it. I was looking at Gabriel, to be honest, or Saliba. It's just an incredible addition, and the fact is, it winds. We're going to get into opposing fans. Don't worry, I'm getting into that later. But it winds the fans up. That is another thing that we can do. That we seem absolutely magical at, Cooks. It's just another way of scoring another goal, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's important as well because, especially when we're coming up against sides like Leeds, who I think it would probably be doing them a bit of disservice to say that they came and played a low block, because they didn't do that for the entire time. But there is going to be games where we are going to come up against sides who we might really struggle to score against just because of how they're playing defensively. As if it's getting to like the 40th minute mark, we're coming towards half time, or if we go out in the second half and we've still not scored. Having a set piece, especially a corner, is going to be so vital, because if we can break the deadlock and make it 1-0 with, half an hour, 45 minutes, 60 minutes left on the clock, whatever it may be, it just opens the game up entirely, because it changes their game plan. And we saw it, against Leeds. It suddenly becomes a lot more expansive. We can play a bit more on the transition. So set pieces are vital. And I don't know, it's not a stick to beat us with. If you're good at it, it's a really important weapon to have in your arsenal. So, do you remember under Arsene Wenger when we would have corner after corner after corner after corner, and we would never ever score from them? Whereas now it's a genuine goal score opportunity. I mean, 3 corners we've scored from in 2 games. That's mental.
We used to
Absolutely
joke
mental.
about it, didn't we? We used to joke about it. I've just said it to Amanda, like, can't beat the first man. You'd get in, you'd see us and then be like, that'll be headed away at the front post. And not anymore.
I mean, it was never a case of we're going to score. Yeah, I mean, John Rose, right? Remember Bolden Adams at corners? They'd get the odd one, wouldn't they? It would be like, wow, we scored from a corner today. Now it'll be like, well, Declan's taken 3 corners and we haven't scored. That's how we're going to be talking. What's happened? Why have we not scored? I mean, it must be frightening for defenders, because honestly, that goal from Timber was just perfect. The header was just perfect. Everything was perfect. There was like no other player on the pitch. Declan Rice straight to Timber's head, and Timber was just phenomenal on Saturday. Oh my God, we are so lucky to have Timber. But we're so lucky to have so many players. It's just so exciting. It really is. I'm very excited. Okay, so we're 1-0 up. What's next, Chris? Talk us through it. The next goal.
Saka, eh? I thought it was really, really good interchange of play between Rice and Zubimendi. And then it was Timber that actually slotted Saka in. And it felt very similar to the goal that he scored away at Leeds, I think 2 seasons ago, because he drove inside and then with his weaker foot, with his right foot, just absolutely lashed one into the roof of the net. Exactly the same as this one as well. People who have Jurrien Timber in their fantasy league team, I saw that somebody put him as their captain. I mean, 2 goals and assists, and you stick Jurrien Timber as your captain. I mean, that's a charmed life you're living. But it was a good ball. Really great movement from Saka, and I think that's what shows you what he brings. Because Saka was quiet for essentially most of the game. I didn't really think he was getting on the ball as much as we normally expect him to, but he only needs 1 chance and he gets in. And that's what we're going to miss for the next 3 to 4 weeks. It's that kind of finishing. And that's where Madueke, he's going to need to step. I think he'll play on that right wing from now on for the next few weeks. I think he'll have a bit of an audition. And somebody needs to, have a word with Madueke and say, your end product needs to deliver, because we get goals from that side.
Well, to be fair, I just want to do 2 points, then I'll bring Cooks in. Saka, I pointed out to Carl when I was sitting there, was double marked. That's why he wasn't getting any joy. And then when he took it and scored that beautiful goal, that was stunning. But let's just talk about Madueke, because he was through on goal and they were brought back for a foul and it wasn't a foul. So I feel like maybe that's a little bit unfair, Chris. That I thought he did really well on Saturday. I mean, did he do
Madueke or
anything?
Saka?
No, Madueke.
Yeah, he did all right. He did good, but what I'm saying is, that if you think about the end product of Saka and what we get from him, if we want to meet our objectives and our expectations, we need as much end product from the right hand side as we do from the left. So we're going to need Madueke to step up. So I'm not saying Madueke played badly. I'm just saying he's going to step up on that right hand side to replace Saka.
Yeah, but I mean, it's very hard to replace Saka, isn't it? He's like bloody world class.
That's impossible.
So I thought we did all right. Cooks, Saka's goal, stunning, and you can talk about Madueke as well if you want.
Yeah, really good goal. And just to echo Chris, I thought the move had broken down when Nwaneri kind of did a 360 and then lost the ball, and then Rice did brilliantly to nip it off the Leeds player. And then Zubimendi with the first time ball out to Yuri and Timber. Timber, really good awareness to see the run from Saka. And then that finish, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just left the goalkeeper. You could tell he just wasn't expecting him to do that because he just stood there with his arm out. So it was absolutely fantastic. And you could just see the look on his face like, oh, this guy again. But yeah, really, really good goal. And then on Madueke, yeah, again, like I've already said, thought he had a good game. I'm excited to see him on the right-hand side. I do think he'll start against Liverpool. I think it might actually suit Gyokeres' game. I watched a compilation of opportunities from Madueke before we signed him, where it was just him relentlessly putting the ball into the box on that right-hand side, but there was just no one on the end of it from a Chelsea perspective. So I think it could work out quite well. And it'll be interesting to see who Liverpool start at left-back, because if they play Gyokeres, there's going to be a hell of a lot of room in behind there. So it could actually work out quite well for us. I mean, it could even suit us. Sounds silly saying it, but it could suit us more than having Bukayo Saka, who's going to get double teamed. If we have Madueke, where they may be paying a bit less attention to him, and it could even open up the game for someone like Martinelli. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about the options, and I think Madueke has had a good start to his Arsenal career, and I think he's kept people quiet. He just needs. I don't think the pressure is on him as much as someone like Gyokeres to get a goal, because people aren't really putting that much attention on him at the minute. So long as he does his job and he's delivering like routine 6.5s out of 10, people are going to be okay with it. But if he could just get, an assist, something like that in the next couple of weeks, I think that Forest game at home is going to be quite big for him, because I reckon he'll start on that right-hand side, and that's the one I'd be looking at and thinking, go on, just go and get a goal or an assist and really show us what you've been brought in to do. But yeah, like you, Chris, I think he gets into good positions. It's just that final ball, that final shot that he needs to work on. But we kind of knew that's what we were signing up for when we got him.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
can I just go back to the goal, Saka's goal, just for a second quickly? Yep. How good, you know what? Sometimes the best timing on goals can mean everything. There's something about you get a goal just before half time, so you can go into the concourse and be like, and relax, because at 1-0 it's never like that. But like I went into the concourse just to meet a couple of lads, and I missed the goal because I'd just gone into the concourse. And honestly, when it went in, you're just going, oh, phew. Okay, now it's 2-0. So now we can hopefully turn this into a cricket score. And I've got a Leeds mate at work who'd said, we'll either scab you a 1-0 where we'll beat you with you having battered us for the entire game, or you'll absolutely smash us 5-0.
Yeah, I thought that. I said that in the car. So it's going to either be a pathetic draw or we're going to hit 5. I just couldn't see it being anything different, to be honest. Right, my brain went on to something else. So yes,
sorry, we were
half
talking
time.
about. Go on.
Yeah. No, so it was half time, wasn't it? 2-2, and we're all like, did Saka come off second half or first? I can't remember.
He came off relatively early in the second half. I think it was just after Gyokeres had scored.
Right. You could see him I didn't actually see him pull up until I watched it back on Match of the Day, even though it was right in front of my eye line. I didn't see that. I just saw him go down, and you're just going, oh, geez. Anyway, but our new signing, Gyokeres, that I'm going to not sing the words to it in a moment once we finish talking about him. So everybody knows the words, but I'm going to read them out in a moment because we all need to sing this song that my mate started. Big up to Alan Green, who keeps sending me songs for the last 4 months on my WhatsApp to see if I like them or not. I think I'm one of his little market research for songs, and I love this song. Christopher Cooks, what can we say about Gyokeres? Now, at United, didn't get much service, got a little bit of criticism, told someone said, I don't know who it was, that he flicks his hair more than he actually, touched the ball. For me, when he scored and did that in the camera with his hair, he's already an Arsenal player for me to do that. The goal was exactly what we've been screaming for, Cooks, isn't it? Take a man on and frigging shoot. Because I was calling for him to shoot before he did. I was like, and then when he scored, because obviously you weren't there, Cooks, the ground went insanely mental because now the elephant's off his back. And it was just a beautiful goal. It really was.
Yeah, and it's the sort of goal you want him to score as well. I think the narrative would have been a bit different if he'd have, bundled the ball into the net from a dodgy corner routine and it just scrapes over the line. A
Well,
bit
just
like
got the penalty.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it was just like it's a goal all of his own making. I mean, the Calafiori ball over the top is really good, but Gyokeres just picks it up in that left-hand channel, which is an area we know he likes to exploit, and then takes it past one, takes it past another, bang, bottom left-hand corner. Do strikers' goals get much better than that? I mean, it's what you want to see. As I say, it's his goal. Like, he can take full ownership and credit of that because he's made it kind of essentially out of nothing. So I've got all the praise in the world for him. I thought his all-round game was really, really good. And 2-2. Could we really have asked for a better start? I mean, we were on here last week, Amanda, and I was saying, it could take him 5, 6, 7 games before he gets his first goal, and we've got to be patient. But he's just shut me up well and truly. But he's got to bring that into Anfield now. I think he'll play a lot better there than he did against United.
To be fair, though, Cooks, I think we all thought that. Yesterday I sat there and I was talking to my neighbour and I said, could be a while till he scores. We just got to support him and he's got to not listen to the outside noise. How wrong we were, Chris, because when he celebrated in front, so he came down to my side, not your side, to celebrate. When Harry went like that to the crowd, not that he had to do that, but meaning that it meant so much because the pressure's off. And you're right, it's more pressure for him to score than Madawaki for sure. But talk us through, because your view of the goal is different to mine.
Yeah, it was. The channel ball came down obviously my side because I'm by the corner flag, row 11, and it just felt like a very in the moment. You're not really taking that in. You're just observing as it plays out, and you're part of that kind of. You're part of just the environment and the experience. But then when I rewatched the goal, the first thing I thought to myself, and James, you kind of hinted on this, it felt like a very archetypal Victor Gyokeres style goal that we've seen him score for Sporting before, where he peels off in that left channel, uses his power to beat a man. Like, all he wants to do is drive into the box and then get his shot away. So I think we're going to see a lot of that sort of channel running on that left-hand side and then trying to drive in. A couple of really, really good little deft touches, which I only really saw when I got home and watched Match of the Day. So I'd watched a couple of the replays in the stadium, but on Match of the Day, I saw there's a couple of very, very deft, tiny touches just to poke the ball beyond the defender as he goes past them before then sort of reverse swiveling it into the keeper's bottom right-hand corner. It was a really, really good finish. It was a well-worked goal. And I think, as you guys have just said, the fact he did it of his own making, I think that actually is an important thing. Strikers live their lives basically on one metric if you're that type of guy like Gyokeres, and that metric is the ball hitting the back of the net. It's all very well, fans talking about, build-up play, or we've talked about, look at the assists that the likes of Saka or Gabriel Jesus, or even when Lacazette was playing towards the end of his time, it was all about, he's a connector and, he's getting assists and he's teeing up others for goals. Gyokeres, no. He just, his video, his signing video was him essentially getting a message from Ødegaard saying, if there's anything I can do, just let me know. And his response was, just give me assists. Like he literally is going to base himself on that metric and that metric alone. We've not had that, God, since Aubameyang. So we're talking what, like 5 years? And it's really, really good that we've got that kind of profile of player in our team.
As they say, feed the goat and he will score. That's what we need to do. We need to keep doing it. So we're 3-0 up. It was lovely to have a game where I didn't plutz at all, didn't worry, just enjoyed it. I think we knew what was coming. Then obviously Saka goes down, which is obviously one of the sad parts about it. Odegaard's off. Honestly, I've lost count of who actually came on and who went off because there was so much going. We were all so excited the fact that we might actually see Max Dowman live on the first Premier League game at the Arsenal that we couldn't wait for him to come on. But Waneri did such a great job.
Can I just jump in just before? I'll give you the numbers. So Trossard for Saka was 53 minutes. Dowman came on for Madueke on 64. Lewis Skelly came on for Ricardo. So all on 64. So it's 53 minutes for Saka for the injury, and then it was Dowman, Lewis Skelly, and Mosquera who came on for Timber, and that was all on 64 minutes. But sorry, go on, Karen.
No, that's good. Thank you, because I did lose count. Who was I talking about? Waneri. Cooks, honestly, what a player we've got there. We can talk about Max in a moment, but he ruled it. I felt like I don't know if anyone's going to agree with me, but I actually thought he played better than Odegaard.
Yeah, I think that was up for debate, but I do think it's good that he was kind of the first point of call when Odegaard went down. It was like, right, Ethan, you're the natural replacement. You're coming straight in. And I think maybe last season, Arteta might not have had full trust in him to come into that role. I mean, you might have seen when the squad was a bit healthier at points last season, as we did against Bournemouth away last year, where you saw that midfield free of Rice, Marino, and I can't even remember who the other, Partey in there as well. Like that midfield free was just a bit too defensive. Whereas with this, we just gave Ethan the platform to express himself. I still think, even though I'm saying he's the natural shoe-in for Odegaard, and let's say Odegaard isn't fit for the game at Anfield next week, I still don't think it's a given that we naturally go to Ethan, because what I did see in his game that I think is going to raise concerns with Arteta is that he does give the ball away quite a lot, whether he's misplacing a pass or running into danger. Like I spoke about previously, just before we scored that Saka goal, he literally did a pirouette and lost the ball in a dangerous position, which a team like Liverpool, when they've got runners beyond you, like Ekitike and Wirtz and all the dangerous players they've got at their end of the pitch, all it takes is one good ball over the top and suddenly the whole team is out of position. Thankfully, Leeds didn't quite have that ability, but that's something where we could potentially be punished. But I'm saying that Odegaard did that plenty of times against Man United last week. So it's an interesting conundrum, but I'm really pleased for him because we've just given him that new contract. We have to show faith in him. And he's probably thinking with Eze coming in, this job has suddenly become a hell of a lot harder for me. But I think he's still going to play a lot of minutes this season, a lot of football. I think when we play League Cup games, he'll be the first name on the team sheet. When we play Champions League games against sides we should be beating at home, he's naturally going to start those games, I would hope. So exciting season for Ethan. I think he could have a really, really good campaign.
Can I just jump in on something with Ethan Waneri, which is really interesting? I was just looking at some of the stats, Amanda, and so Odegaard came off for Waneri on 38 minutes. The touches in the attacking third, Martin Odegaard in 38 minutes made the same number of touches in the attacking third as Waneri did. So clearly they were playing that role, that position, slightly different. Waneri was having it more in the middle third, whereas you think about what Martin Odegaard does is he kind of tends to lead our press quite often. So he's in that attacking third, but he also is, on the edge of that D. He's connecting with Saka a little bit more. So there was probably a little bit more. I mean, I thought Waneri did good, and but I guess going to James's point about, do you then throw him in at Anfield because it's a very different team, and you look at something like that, touches in the attacking third, like when we play at Anfield, we're not going to have that many, we're not going to have as much of the ball. There will need to be more of that defensive and midfield side. And if Ethan does switch off again, because he's 18 years old, so like it's perfectly fine, we're not expecting him to be the master at 18 years old, but it's probably something for Arteta to have a bit of a consideration over. But on the same token, when I think about that, I think, well, What was the sell to get him to sign a new contract? It probably was, you're going to be Ødegaard's understudy. But does that become an asterisk? You're his understudy, but not for certain types of games like Liverpool away or City away or Tottenham away. You're his understudy for Leeds at home or Everton away or something like that.
So let me just rectify what I said, because what I meant to say was he played as well as Ødegaard played. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
They are slightly different players as well, but I don't know. I don't think he should start at Anfield, but it depends who's fit. It depends if Ødegaard's fit, because I'd pick him all day long at Anfield for sure. Okay, so where are we up to? Fourth goal, boys. The fourth goal. Who was that? I've just
Timber.
my brain's good because he scored 2. That's right, because I wanted him to get a hat trick. All right, Cooks, talk us through that goal. And
Can I just
we
pause just before we do the, because there's been an Orn bomb.
go on
No.
Arsenal. This can't be true.
live on air. Go on.
Arsenal are working to sign Piero Hincapi from Bayer Leverkusen, subject to player exit. 23-year-old defender told Bayer of his wish to leave. He's prioritising AFC above others. Effort and going to make the fee more realistic than the 60 million clause. Now, this guy, I think, replaces Jack Kivior. But the thing that I read this morning was Tottenham were interested in this
that as well.
No,
Arsenal at this stage are literally bantering off Tottenham Hotspur. They probably don't even want him. Mikel's probably just like, you know what? Shall we just ruin their transfer window? Please let this be true, because that is flipping hilarious.
Oh, the banter, don't. Honestly, it's just. I don't think I can take anymore. We've had Eze, that's enough, and that's still ongoing. I got invited to a party next weekend. Both hosts are Tottenham season ticket holders. Most of the people there are Tottenham. It's just going to be so exciting. But it's a shame it's not fancy dress. I'd have got a top with Eze on the back of me. But anyway, moving on. Come on, we're better than that. We're better than that. Right, fourth goal, Timber. Yes. So let's go on to the fourth goal, and there's quite a bit of other stuff we need to still talk about.
Yeah,
Cooks.
my mind has totally been thrown now.
I know. I'm just thinking another one we can have banter about.
Deliciousness of it. This is amazing.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, 60 million euros in that tweet. Like, where the hell is this money coming from? But hey, look, I'm not gonna go into that. I'll park it. We can talk about that at the end.
I think it's actually, by the sounds of it, what Tottenham are trying to do is what Arsenal are trying to do, which is a loan with obligation. So it'll be we'll pay you next year for the FFP stuff, but let's get him in now and get the job done.
Yeah, I suppose that would make sense, because we saw Kivior is potentially being linked with a loan to obligation to Porto. I think the only way I would sanction that is if we do something similar on our end. But again, how does he even fit into the team? Look, I'm going off on a massive tangent here. Let's talk about that another time. But yeah, fourth goal, again, brilliant delivery from Declan Rice. It's really scrappy. Does it touch Saliba's arm, hand? I don't know.
No.
Let's not worry about that. That's fine. It's fine. And then Tim just pokes it home. Great. 4-0. Job done at that point. Happy days.
Yeah, I know. And it's like you're sitting there going, this is just brilliant. But you still have that little bit in the back of your head going, oh, God, how long Saka going to be out for? You're sort of, when you read social media, it could be a year. They're so dramatic. No one knows anything at that moment, do they? But he looks so unhappy going off the pitch that you're sort of celebrating 99%. And in the back of your head, you're going, oh, Saka. But so we get on to the fifth goal. Now, by this time, Max Dowman's come on. I mean, I don't know what you lot were doing at 15 years of age, but I can tell you now, I was 15. I was trying to get into clubs. I was probably being stroppy teenager to my mum and dad. I was still at school and obviously going to Arsenal. I was going to Highbury, but I just don't understand how this is happening, to be honest. His dad there's a fabulous picture of his dad leaning over one of the stands, probably just after his son, had come on, or maybe when he was coming on the pitch, Chris, where you're so proud. And his mum and dad are probably my age or could be even younger than me. And I'm sitting there going, I'm watching this kid come on. I've heard loads about him. I've watched a little bit. And you're thinking, is he going to be as good as what everyone is saying? And he was just as good. Now, when he was down, of course, my side again, when he was playing on the right, and he took on the defender that was probably old enough to be his dad, right? Or whatever, or his older brother. That defender was like, "You ain't getting past me. You're not going to show me up." And he showed him up all the time. It was a penalty. The foot went on his foot, took his foot out, and it was a penalty. Obviously, I can't see that there, but when I've come home and rewatched it, it's definitely a penalty. I'm so excited about Max Dowman. I can't even put into words. And if you listen to what Jamie Redknapp has been saying about him, because Jamie Redknapp's known him for about 10 years, apparently. He was at a football club in Portugal, and Jamie was the manager there or something, like for a holiday or something. And he went up to the parents and said, "I have never, ever seen in my life a kid with that much talent at 8 years of age." So Jamie's like his biggest fan. He knows the family, and he's been, and Jamie Redknapp never, ever raves about anything to do with the Arsenal. What a prospect we've got there, Chris. And yes, I am getting excited. I am.
Do you know what's? There's just, this is almost like a genetic freak of nature, because he's 15 years old, right? He hasn't even like stopped growing. Like, I saw a tweet the other day where someone was like, they were talking about Max Dowman. It's like, what's he doing tonight? And someone was like, he's probably revising, because he'll probably reading of Mice and Men, because he's doing his bloody GCSEs. And I thought that was quite funny. But he's 15 years old, so he's 1.83 meters tall, right? So he's like 6 foot. This is a 15-year-old that's like my height, 6'1". If he keeps growing, and I think the other thing that I find surprising is when you're that tall as well, and if he's going to keep growing, which you would have thought he would do, he's going to end up like a big guy, but he's so good with the ball at his feet. His center of gravity is such that it looks like he should be a smaller player than he actually is.
I didn't know he was that tall. I thought he was shorter.
No, he's like 6 foot. He is, and he's a big lad for somebody who's 15, and then still has such good control of the football, can manipulate the football in such an impressive way. The thing we might find is that the challenges might get is at 15, like I said, if you're still growing, if you get those growing pains and stuff, and the physical demands that are put on the human body at elite sport level are such that we need to be careful. I'm with you. Every milestone he gets to, it's like train with the first team, which he was doing last season. Tick. Go on tour. Tick. And just be part of that environment. Play. Tick. But not just that. Play well. Tick. And it's like, okay, have your first professional, like top flight official game at the weekend. Make your first debut proper. Tick. I'm running out. So next will be start. Obviously, he'll tick that one off at some stage. You'd imagine a League Cup. But you're even starting to look at, because he's bossed Newcastle in pre-season friendly, and Newcastle, the way they played that game, they didn't take it like a friendly. Just look at what Joe Linton was doing. Leeds, like they're 4-0 down, but this is still a professional football team with pride who are not going to go easy on a 15-year-old kid, and he's running through them with ease. I just wonder, maybe even depending on what happens, like, does Arteta even think, I might give him 10, 15 minutes at Anfield, see what he does? At this stage, you don't know, because you don't know how far this kid can go, but it feels like the sky's the limit. Like, we're all having to bite our tongues, James, right? Because, like, honestly, I'm thinking Messi levels. If he continues a trajectory, you could see that, right?
He's been said that. Someone said Messi, didn't they? Go on, Cooks.
Yeah, it's. I'm just bracing myself for what to say. I mean, the kid takes my breath away. It's unbelievable. I mean, he should be, doing his shopping trip this weekend for his new backpack and pencils for back to school. He's going into year 11. It's insane. It's insane. He's still got another full year of school to do. And what a position we are in to have a player of this ability. I honestly, if that was the starting point yesterday, and if we're winning games quite comfortably, I don't see why he can't make 15, 20 appearances in the Premier League this season. I'm not saying he's going to start that many games, but if he's playing, we play half an hour on Saturday. That's a lot of football at 15. That's a third of the game, So I think he's going to play a lot of football this season. And the biggest compliment I can give to him is that physically he does not look out of place in the slightest. He is taking on a player like Goodmanson, experienced Swedish international, and toying with him. He made it look easy. The way he won that penalty, he just causes havoc. The ball sticks to his feet like absolute glue. And I think that right-hand side is a really good opportunity for him to play his game because there's not as much responsibility there. But again, kind of like Eze, I feel like you could play him anywhere up the pitch and he's going to do something special. Kind of similarly to, again, I don't want to draw into Messi comparisons, but in the way you could play Messi on the left, the right, the middle, up top, and you know you're going to get a 9 out of 10 performance from him. You know he's that maverick that can create something. So I'd be surprised if he came on against Liverpool. But again, you're looking at that game against Forest, and then we've got a League Cup and a Champions League game on the horizon in September. He'll play in those games for sure. So I'm not saying he'll start, but he'll get minutes there. He's a fantastic footballer. He does not look out of place whatsoever. I mean, I think he looks more ready than Ethan Nwaneri. I don't know if that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I just think the way he holds himself and carries himself physically, he looks bigger than someone like Ethan. You know, I think he's kind of getting close to being at his physical peak. He looks about 20, 21 years old when you just look at him from a physical point of view. So yeah, I'm so excited. And although I completely agree, you have to protect him and, you know, nurture him and ease him into the team. You can't hold talent back when it's that good, because if you don't do it, somebody else will. So I think there comes a point where you just have to say, look, screw it. We have to play this guy. And with Saka being out for a month, there's even more opportunity for him there. So he naturally becomes the understudy to Madueke at this point. So it's so exciting.
Can I just jump in just with a couple of stats? Because I think it's quite interesting for you to maybe...
I want to go back to Dowman, so I remember.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Dowman, actually. So he only had 11 touches of the ball, right? But if you think about... Just take your mind back, Amanda, to the actual game and that 27 minutes he was on the pitch. He only touched the ball 11 times, but... Every time he got the ball, he wants to drive. He's a really exciting footballer. He wants to get the ball and he wants to dribble it and he wants to drive and he wants to take on players. And as fans in the stadium, that's the stuff that we remember. Like, I was thinking to myself, wow, he had such a big part in such a short period of time. And I would have thought he'd have had a lot more touches than that, than just 11 touches in 27 minutes. But he's not a high touch footballer, maybe. But in this game, he wasn't a high touch footballer. But when he does get the ball, he wants to drive at his man, and that's exciting.
Again, in front of us, we were watching him. He was calling for the ball, but the ball wasn't coming a lot. That's why he didn't have that many touches. What I think we need to do with him is what he did with Nwaneri, 10, 15 minutes here and there. I've got no issue with that. You do have to be very careful, as you said, with the growing pains. Elite football is totally different to playing under 18s for your school, the academy and stuff like that. And if anyone knows, Arteta knows, because he's done it with Nwaneri. What I feel like Dowman's a year ahead. Like, he is where Nwaneri is now, where Dowman's starting is. I understand when people are saying bring him on, start him at Anfield. I don't agree with that. I only want to see him at the moment if we desperately need him. In that respect, if we don't need him at Anfield, let's leave him for maybe Forest. If we're winning, I don't want to see him. I just don't want to, because I just think we need to nurture him. But obviously, I'm not the coach. And with respect, Arteta knows what he's doing. He's done it with Nwaneri and he's going to do it with him. But to think that we have Lewis Skelly, Nwaneri and Dowman, all under 18, that you would not hesitate in picking for that team, is insane. It's just insane to me that you know, like Declan Rice and that, you know, are going to look after him on the pitch. It's just incredible. It's just so incredible to have that. So then obviously he wins us the penalty, which of course it's going to be Dowman. And I'll tell you the other thing I wanted to say was, I follow Max Dowman's dad on Twitter. I found him. He hasn't got a big account. And Max Dowman's not allowed on Twitter. He's only on Instagram. And how I know this is because my friend Alan made a song up again about Dowman, and his family liked it. And Dowman liked it on Instagram. He's not on Twitter. So if you do see any accounts, I don't think his family... He's not old enough. This is the funny thing. You know, we're laughing that he's going to possibly play at Anfield and make a contribution. Yeah, he's not old enough to be on Twitter. It's just madness. It really is. But anyway, so he wins us the penalty. Now, quite a few people, Chris, are saying he should have taken it. we're 4-0 up, blah, blah, blah. But I disagree, actually, because I think it's more interesting, more interested, sorry, I can't think of my word I'm trying to say, more important that Gyokeres gets more goals. I don't know
Yeah,
what you two think because I haven't spoken to you about it, but yep.
I 100% agree with you. If we think about the conversation that we had earlier, like Gyokeres in his head, that's what he bases everything on. I think there's also hierarchies, isn't there, in footballs? And you've got a 15-year-old kid. He's not going to walk along and go, "Give me the ball, it's mine." You know, he's going to defer, which is fine. But also, Arsenal need Gyokeres to be a success. And if Gyokeres is just basing his own confidence on what's that number saying in terms of the goals I've scored, then you just need to get it done. But also the way in which he strikes the ball, I mean, yes, please, can we have some more of that? Because he absolutely smashed that in. It was a brilliant penalty.
And also, Cooks, we need to take in account every single goal matters. Just because we're 4-0 up, we're not going to lose the game at that stage. But every goal matters. Goal difference could count. We all know what happened in a certain period of time that I'm not going to mention. Every single goal counts. You're more likely that, I don't know how Dowman is with pressure and scoring penalties, I don't know. But Gyokeres, you have more faith. Am I
Yeah,
right in that? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. And we didn't have a lot of these games last season. I don't remember us blowing a lot of teams away for 5-0 a lot of the time. So when the opportunity comes, you absolutely have to take it. And I completely agree with both of you. Gyokeres has to score as many goals as possible. Anything that is going to give him even 1% or 0.5% more confidence going into a game like Anfield, you give him that opportunity. And what I love about him is just that bullish way he takes his penalties. None of this stuttered lineup, doing a hop, skip, and a jump and a pirouette, all that nonsense. Just runs up to it really fast, hits it really low, really hard. If every penalty was struck like that, goalkeepers would have a lot more hard work to do. You know, he's not giving the goalkeeper the eyes. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He just wants to hit that ball really hard and perfectly placed. And that's what he has done throughout his, well, at least his recent career. Look at his goals at Sporting when he took penalties. They were exactly like that, just really hard, really powerful. And it's how he strikes the ball as well. So I'm really, really excited for what he's gonna bring to this team. And 2 goals, I mean, it's more than I could have expected from him. So I'm just elated, and hopefully it's the first 2 of many more.
you're sitting there, aren't you, Chris? And you're going 5-0, sunny afternoon, seen Max Dowman, seen Gyokeres get 2, Timber get 2, a beautiful goal by Saka, and unfortunately that little part of how long is he going to be out for. But it was generally one of those where you're coming out and you're just praying that idiot Arsenal fans aren't online and not going, we're going to win the league, because we are 2 games in, 6 points, 2 clean sheets. You know, it's all going so well, isn't it? And hopefully, with the injuries, we can replace with like as much. But in the back of your head, you're knowing that Liverpool's coming up. You know, Liverpool are playing tonight, aren't they, against Newcastle, which is going to be quite funny because of the whole Isak situation, which I still think he's going to go. I do. I've said it since day one. I know it's not looking likely now, but I still think it'll happen because I don't think Newcastle can afford to have a bad apple in their team and millions lost because he doesn't want to play for them. He's made that pretty clear.
Yeah. But these things always get repaired once the window closes because this is a World Cup year, and he'll do an apology tour type thing, and
so I never
they'll
meant
get it all
it. Yeah.
sorted. And then in January it'll kick up. It'll be this is just a let's keep the walls from the door until January, and then it goes again.
But do you not think, though, that for him to come out on social media was totally unprofessional? I would never have done that. His agent should never have allowed him to do that because you don't know what's going to happen. Now, you know what fickle football fans are fickle, yeah. So Newcastle, I don't know how they feel about Isaac at the moment, but I know how I would feel.
Not
And then if
good.
he not good. So then if he comes on and he starts, say, I don't even know if he's playing tonight. I don't know anything,
No.
but. No, right. So if he comes on and if he doesn't go and then he comes on and scores a brace, they're not going to boo him, are they? You know, you're going to start to go, I may not like you, but you've just scored 3 goals for my team. So you are going to be a little bit, loyal. And I don't know. I'm just trying to think about it. But tonight, what we want is Newcastle to batter them 4-0 because that's exactly what we need. I don't think it's going to be easy for Liverpool tonight, even though Isak are not playing. I think the feeling around there is because of how the we'll get onto those fans in a minute, but how Liverpool have behaved in the whole transfer saga. Listen, we've been through it, haven't we? Van Persie, we've been there. Fabregas, we've been there. We know what it's like. In the end, they always go. But we play at Anfield next Sunday. Massive. I mean, it is pathetic for the pundits to say match defining season because it's ridiculous. Game 3. As long as we don't lose, I'm going to be happy. Okay, I don't know who's going to be fit, who's not, but I just want to talk about the banter with Liverpool fans online at the moment. What I find is, and I've got a lot of Scouse mates, as you know, is that I just would like to say that you don't own any tune, you don't own You'll Never Walk Alone. You actually took that from a musical back in the 1940s. You may not like North London Forever. We don't care. We don't care about your club. We don't care about your fans. We don't care. And we don't wear red because of Liverpool. We wear red because Nottingham Forest lent us colours back in the 1880s, I think. So just to give you a little bit of history, and also any tune we sing, we can sing. You don't own anything. And finally, let me just finish on this. We don't care about you. So you can keep coming for us because the banter's hilarious. My social media is just too funny. We're obviously, Chris, becoming relevant because fans are coming for us. Tottenham always have. City tried it the last couple of years and now it's Liverpool. Liverpool are coming for us. So your thoughts next Sunday, I just think it would be the funniest thing if we made a tune-up to You'll Never Walk Alone with our own words on next week. Would just be the banter of all banter. But on a serious note, your feelings on the game next week, your feelings on maybe a prediction we're going to go to in a minute.
I'll do the prediction as well if you want. I actually think
Yeah.
we'll probably end up losing because we've got a terrible record at that ground. We have. I honestly, there's nothing I want more than seeing us win at Anfield. The last time that happened in the league was the 2nd of September, 2012. That is mental. It's mental that we're literally talking about 13 years. The team that day. The team that day was Vito Mannone in goal, Carl Jenkinson, Per Mertesacker, Thomas Vermaelen, Kieran Gibbs, Mikel Arteta, Abu Diaby, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Santi Cazorla, Olivier Giroud, and Lucas Podolski. And that was the season where we sold Van Persie and then signed Cazorla, Giroud, and Podolski effectively to spread his goals across the team. That's how long ago it's been since we've won at Anfield. I just want nothing more than getting rid of that hoodoo. But a bit like Old Trafford, Anfield is just, there's a thing about it. Even, what was it, 2 seasons ago, James, where we went 2-0 up and then roaring and nearly losing when we were like, we were still in that sort of title fight. I hate that place. I don't hate their fans. I have a slight disliking to them because they invented everything, and they're a lot up their own arses. And I think what you said, Amanda, is right. They're because we're relevant again. That's why they've got an issue with us. But that is too long to be drawing or being defeated year after year after year. Something has to give at some stage. I want it to be next weekend, but I just have a fear it's just going to be once again, and with Liverpool's attack as well. I don't know.
Okay, so what's your prediction?
3-1 Liverpool.
Oh my God! So I've gone 2-2, and I think that would be a good result for where we are. However, weirdly, I don't see Anfield like Old Trafford. I think Old Trafford's their bogey side. But after you've read out that stat, I'm not sure why I have not thought that, because I've been there 3 times in the last 7 years and I've seen us lose and draw. I was there for that 2-2. I could see it coming. You could see it coming. But Emerson 2-2. I've gone 2-2. James, what's your thoughts on it next week?
Excited because I really think we can get at that Liverpool defence. Although they've got all that attacking talent, their defence has looked very rocky this season. So I would expect us to at least score. It's a real shame that we're not going to have Saka, because I think he'd have been very influential in this game. But I'm backing Madueke to play well, and Gyokeres has just bagged too. And we've got Eze, we've got Wanyeri, we've got Max Dowman. In fact, we've got Martinelli still, we've got Trossard. We've got enough creativity and options and versatility at that end of the pitch to change things up and make Liverpool think and second guess a lot of the time. So I think we will score, whoever it is that starts and finishes the game. But I don't think we'll win. I'm not saying that to be negative. I just think it's going to be a really, really tough game, and I'd bite your hand off for a point. I think it'd be a great result at this stage in the season. If we hadn't got 6 points out of 6, I'd probably be sat here saying, well, maybe a win wouldn't be the worst result. Of course it wouldn't be. It'd be something we'd aim for. But beating United was huge, absolutely huge. Even though it was a scrappy game, that 3 points is vital. So to be sat here with 6 points so early on in the season, having got United out of the way, away from home, a draw would be brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I predict 1-1. But I should also caveat that if we lose, I'm not going to totally lose my mind, because 6 points out of 9, you've played United away, Liverpool away. On paper, it's not a total disaster. Obviously, if the performance is horrendous, then that's something else entirely. But if we play well and they score a Van Dijk corner or something in the 95th minute, it'll be a sickener. But whatever way you look at it, 6 points out of 9 out of these first 3 games is not a bad return, especially when you've got Forest up next at home. You've got City up next at home. I would bet on us to win both of those games. We could have 12 points out of 15, potentially. And I think that's a pretty good return from these opening 5 games.
I don't think the people that everyone thinks we're a bit negative because none of us have gone for a win. But Cooks, what's your prediction?
1-1.
1-1. Okay, I've gone 2-2.
I don't think we're being negative. I just think we're being realistic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We're not being negative. Listen, as Chris read the stat out, we've not won for 13 years there. So it's not as though we're being dramatic and predicting a draw. I'll take a draw all day long now. I really would. Also, right. So I did promise you I'm going to not sing it because the tune is done my head in the whole weekend. But this is the Gyokeres chant, okay? He comes from Sweden. The girls are very nice. He dumped his girlfriend to play in red and white. He's scoring goals with a cannon on his chest. His name is Victor Gyokeres. Now, I know the words. I've written it down so I didn't say it wrong. But so he comes from Sweden. The girls are very nice. He dumped his girlfriend.
Come on,
to play in red
sing
and
it.
white. No, you sing it, Chris. You sing it, honestly.
He comes from Sweden. The girls are very nice.
Very nice. He dumped his girlfriend to play in red and white. He's scoring goals with a cannon on his chest. His name is Victor Gyokeres. Now that's it. That's it. It's in my head again. So
James is like, I think I'm done for today now, guys.
Yeah, sorry to all of our listeners for having to endure that.
No, because do you know what? I was coming out of Arsenal singing it, but people were just doing the do bit, and I was like, no, you need to sing the words. Everyone needs to sing it. It's just an insane tune, and it's done by Al_Green on Twitter. I've just got a couple of shout outs to do. I met a lovely lady outside the Armoury on Saturday. This is one for the girls, really, or for the guys that have got girlfriends that support Arsenal. And she had these most beautiful bows in the back of her head saying Arsenal FC, North London forever. Lovely bows. I went up to her. I said, where did you get those? She said, I make them. And she said, I can make them for any team. You can have whatever colour you want. So it's on Instagram. It's called Hockey Bow Co. So it's HOCKEY BOWCO. She's an Arsenal fan. We started to Instagram a little bit after the match. Go and support her. I'm going to buy some ribbons just to have in the back of my head. They looked gorgeous. Also, it's one of my close friends' birthdays today. Gary the Gooner. Happy birthday. I hope your missus, who's a Spurs fan, treats you really well. And honestly, if you can sing the Gyokeres song to her, I'm sure she's going to love it. Happy birthday, Gary P. Boys, we are done. We are out of here on Bank Holiday Monday, knowing that we can sit back and enjoy the Newcastle-Liverpool game. Maybe a couple of sendings off. Who would we like sent off for Liverpool tonight? Salah?
Mo Salah and
Van Dijk.
Sure.
Nah, he's not that important, Van Dijk, anymore. I think Mo Salah and maybe... Is their goalkeeper still Alisson or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, Allison. He's a good goalkeeper. Thank you, Karen, but it's Gary with 2 R's. I should have said that. That's lovely of you to say that to him. Right, boys. Just to let everybody know that we are going to go live at 7:15 post Liverpool, regardless of the score. If it's been a shit show or if we've won 4-0, we are going live, the three of us, next Sunday evening. If you don't want to miss that, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press that bell. And if you could press like on the way out, we would love you. And on audio, thank you again. And if you could rate us, it just gets us out for other people to listen to our Arsenal nonsense. So, boys, unless you've got anything further to say,
No,
I'm
always
assuming
Arsenal.
not.
We're good.
I'm assuming not. Guys, have a great bank holiday, everybody. And remember, always Arsenal.